Zippity-doo-dah, zippity. Keep forgetting there's a shop vac back there. One of these days I'm going to remember that. Oh, God. There's theory and there's building stuff. I love to build stuff. You know, I'm usually in deep thought. One thing is far more important than the other. Nikola Tesla, I can't remember his exact words, but he's basically going after Thomas Edison. And he said that Edison wouldn't have had to have spent so many endless years trying to create a light bulb if he actually given it a lot of thought instead of tinkering. Like, well, that didn't work, well, that didn't work. And that's good, I mean, and some people love tinkering, but Tesla is right. And I do the same thing. Of course, I don't know how Tesla thought. I don't pretend to know. But I build things in my head. I have ideas, and I ask myself, will that work? It's like, well, yes, it should. And of course, if it doesn't, then you have to rebuild it in your head. There's a reason why I have over 30 rolls of copper wire in my house. I actually do build stuff, meaning coils. One of the things, and they're all over YouTube and over the years, I like this to be a serious video. I try to make all my videos serious, unless it's a humorous video, of which I really don't do those. I'm not a comedian. Some people say that I'm a comedian. In talking about free energy, there's goodness knows how many gazillions of videos on YouTube about free energy. Somebody's got something that usually I can tell what the trick is. Or, it's presumed over Unity device. Unless they're trying to, I want to get it patented. I'm not going to show anybody the, how it's made. It's like, well, isn't that nice? And that would be like a video from 10 years ago. So there's all this bravado and puffery. Puffery meaning someone puffing themselves up, making extraordinary claims, especially around the topic of free energy. I don't do those videos. I don't pretend to have a fantastic gadget in front of me. But what I will do that none of the rest of these people are doing, none that I know of anyway, is talk about free energy facts. And free energy facts about giving some examples about interesting designs. Now, Tesla's AC generator is an arch form. It's not a point source device, but it's an arch form. I'm the one that actually came up with this. I've said it now for years. And it's something that should be given a lot of thought, since I'm presumably, at least I like to think so, the world's foremost expert on magnetism, be able to say something about Tesla's AC generator. It's like, well, what is an AC generator in simple? It kind of shocks me a little bit, but not really, that people don't know, how, whether it be a four-phase or, there's many different designs in an AC generator, but the very most simple one, like, what is an AC generator in simple? It's like, well, here's the diagram. It's like, yeah, but, how does it generate energy? Now, I'm going to quote Dollard on this one before I get to, something that I came up with, which is highly accurate and extremely simple, and I think any simple mind could grasp it. And Eric Dollard said of Tesla's AC generator that it is nothing other than an arch form. Specifically, it's an he didn't use these words. Of course, every field is an ether perturbation modality. It is an arch form for the manifestation of energy. Those are Dollard's words. My words, more simple. An arch form, of course, is a geometric shape, a special geometric shape. Special geometric shape of the Pythagoreans, for example, is the special isosceles triangle that I have tattooed on the back of my hand that makes up the Pythagorean pentagram. What I said an AC generator is, and I came up with, is that it's an inside-out magnet. What that means is the plane of inertia, or the rebounding layer for the transmission of energy, is on the outside. Or in the case of a magnet, and I don't have a magnet in front of me, I got magnets all over the house, where the magnetic field is on the inside of an AC generator. So an AC generator in simple is an inside-out magnet, where the magnetic field is on the inside, and the dielectric reflector, the rebounding layer, for the and of course connected therein, the transmission for distributing the energy, is on the outside. And that's what an AC generator is in simple. By the input of mechanical energy, obviously we would create a torsion, an ether torsion, because AC generators, well, we call them generators, and we all have the idea of power generation or electricity generation in our head. I've said this a million times in countless videos. They don't actually generate power. And this is something really to think about. I've had some of these people watch videos like that in the past, and they brought it to their professors, and they've reported back that their professors are confounded. They don't know what to make about it because they've never thought along those lines. No AC generator actually generates power. They manifest it. Now, how do they manifest it? Well, it's Nikola Tesla's invention of the AC generator, which is Eric Dollard's words, an arch form. By the way, here's a quote from Tesla. I'm going to mess it up a little bit, but this is essentially what he said. He was asked in an interview, and I'm going to get to free energy here very, very quickly, I promise you. He was asked by some reporter, and this is in my magnetism book. It's like, what's your favorite invention? Of all the things you've invented, discovered, what's the number one thing? Nikola Tesla, is it your AC generator? Is it, this or that? And Nikola Tesla said no. There'd be, and I'm messing up Nikola Tesla's words, but this is essentially what he said. He said, no, in the future, there'll be improvements on my generator, and so things will change after I'm gone. But nothing will be more spectacular and nothing will last until the end of time itself, and is more important to me than my discovery of rotating magnetic fields. When he refers to rotating magnetic fields, we're talking about the Lamour frequency. This is the three-dimensional force vector of the toroidal centrifugal geometry that makes up magnetism. Now let's get on to free energy facts, because the title of this video is Free Energy Facts, and I'm not going to make any ridiculous, absurd claims of like, oh, look at this device, a free energy device, over unity. I can't show you how it's made. I know you'd like to make one, but trust me, this is a genuine. There's so many videos out there, just completely ludicrous. Usually I can see what the trick is. People send me links. Oh, look, this guy invented a free energy device. Yeah, okay. Let's see the diagram. Let's see the empirical proof behind it. And there never is any. There's even one generator now. I'm not going to mention which one it is. It doesn't generate anything, actually. And people have been talking about this for decades. There's countless people that have, it's kind of complex, actually. Many people that have reproduced this highly complex device. It doesn't produce anything. Even looking at the design, I knew that it can't actually produce energy. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I don't want to talk about what the generator is, but it doesn't produce anything. It's completely, but people are still talking about it. People ask me questions about, what about this so-and-so? It's like, well, it doesn't work. What do you mean it doesn't work? There's no proof that it works at all. There have been other people reproduce it. There's absolutely zero evidence that this produces, or is it an over-unity device? Many things, of course, can produce energy, but is it an over-unity device, i.e. so-called denotative free energy? Here's the facts. I'm going to talk about a few different devices, and these are the things that control our world and give us all the technology that we have today. We're talking about magnets, lasers. We're going to talk a little bit about the Stirling engine. Just a very little bit about the Stirling engine. Talk about a couple other things, relational, and all of these things have one thing in common. They're all, excuse me, my throat's a little dry. They're all point source energy devices. I've spoken about this endlessly, and I'm not going to go on endlessly about magnetism, but one thing that makes a magnet is not quantitative, rather qualitative. Before a magnet becomes a magnet, it is quantitatively 100% identical. That which makes a magnet is the qualitative nature of what it is. Every device today, this is a hardcore, undeniable statement, has magnets in it. Computers, cell phones, laptops, blah, blah, blah. Everything. Camera that's recording my fat face right now has magnets in it. You could ask every person on this earth, including PhD professors of physics, blah, blah. They can't tell you what a magnet is. They can't tell you what a field is. It's all well and fine that we invent and discover these things. Of course, we didn't actually discover them. Lodestones are naturally occurring, and this is where we got the idea of magnetism and so-called magnetic repulsion, blah, blah, blah. I've talked about this endlessly. But what makes up a magnet is that all the constituent atoms, whether it be samarium, cobalt, neodymium, iron, boron, yttrium, barium, not yttrium, barium, copper oxide, ferrite, samarium, cobalt, or neodymium, is that they're all operating in unison. They're a point source. That's what makes a magnet a magnet. That's the qualitative nature. There's example number one. People say, and I have a laser right here. Of course, we all know about lasers and laser pointers. Yeah. This is an LED laser. Like 99% of all lasers today are LED lasers. There's a reason why most of them are LED lasers, because an LED is a quasi-point source device. So of course, there's gas lasers, there's chemical lasers, yada, yada, yada. LED lasers now have become insanely powerful. The only reason they're more powerful now is that they don't burn themselves out due to superior design. People say, well, what is laser? Well, it's light amplification with stimulated emission of radiation. Well, this is true. It's coherent light. Well, attributionally that's correct, but what a laser is, and you can look this up, there's 1,000 references to this. Most physicists don't even know that. Oh, laser light's coherent light radiation. Yeah. Like everything is marching in unison like a bunch of soldiers. Well, that's partially accurate, but what actually makes up the true denotation of a laser? A laser is a point source device. Most people also, too, don't know that right behind this cap, just like every other laser, people think, lasers are naturally, when you build them correctly, they come out as this. No, they have focusing lenses on them. Yes. What's back here, and of course this isn't a gas laser like a helium neon like I used to build back in the day, but they're point source devices. All of these things, magnets, lasers, and I'll talk a few other things here, are empirical energy focused at a point in counter space. And a point, of course, has a Cartesian coordinate, so we can't actually take the term point too seriously, because a point also, too, has an x, y, z coordinate, Cartesian coordinate in space-time. They're focused at counter space. A laser emission, the laser itself, is a point source device. Every magnet on this Earth, whether it be ferrite, samarium, cobalt, neodymium, iron, boron, what makes up a magnet, undeniably, and I'm the world's foremost expert on magnets. Yes, I am. I could say I actually wrote the book on magnetism, 3rd edition, working on the 4th. I'm very proud of that fact that I understand what magnetism actually is. It's a point source device. What about some other things? You know those parabolic dishes that are actually focusing the 5 watts of UHF, VHF electromagnetic radiation that are beamed from outer space satellites? You know what those parabolic dishes do? They raise amplification. They actually create a point source concentration and amplification towards the receiver. You have the parabolic dish that's pointed up at the sky, and you actually have this receiving cone that actually takes the amplification from that. No different than a parabolic telescope. Parabolic mirror focuses to a secondary mirror, which is the point source accumulation, and then that's actually beamed down to usually a 5 inch by 5 inch charge coupling device, or a CMOS. I don't know about how the mega $1 million telescopes, parabolic dishes use now. I don't know if they use, I don't think any of them use CCDs anymore. They all use CMOS sensors. Not that that's important. It's a point source device. Let's think of some things in Mother Nature here. Because even radio telescope arrays, even though they're disproportionate or disjointed with one another, I don't know if you've ever heard of like the Arecibo, not the Arecibo dish, but there's the array out in New Mexico. It's not Utah. It's a big Y array, and even though they're completely separate, they're acting as one. Point source amplification. So instead of building this super mega radio telescope, they found that they could do the same thing through the signal amplification of bringing them all together as one, even though they're disproportionate with one another, to a point source. So you actually have the array of like 15, 22 arrays. I forget the name of the array. It escapes my mind right now. These are all the exact same thing, whether it's a magnet, a laser, the telescope, that these are empirical energy focused in counter space. Let's give another example found in nature. Black hole. I've seen no less than 30 some examples of deep space imagery of black holes at the centers of galaxies or black holes, and they're emitting out trillions and trillions and trillions of tons of hydrogen. These are called two different things. They're both the same thing, galactic jets or astrophysical jets. A black hole is a supermass with no magnitude. It's a point source object. I made this statement years ago, and I've stated it many times, that the fundamental particle of the entire universe, and there's only one, because all free neutrons become protons, is nothing other than super high energy light. And I said that would be discovered, and it was discovered last year. You could look this up on a Google search too, where they actually took on the lasers, let me see. Oh yeah, it was a dual laser convergence at constructive amplification. So they brought them in phase. They had dual laser convergence at constructive amplification for the generation of matter. So we had two super powerful lasers, each one of which is completely incapable of producing matter. In other words, super, super high energy light, which is all what matter is. All matter is nothing other than a compound of hydrogen. Every atom in the universe, whether it's lead or gold or mercury or silver or anything, is just a compounded atom of hydrogen. This is undeniable. I think most scientists actually agree upon this fact. That makes it kind of simple, doesn't it? So, neither one of these lasers by themselves is powerful enough, and together they are not, unless brought in phase. And in phase is nothing other than a scientific fancy word of saying point source. So by creating a point source, i.e. in phase array of dual lasers, we're able to have ultra, ultra high energy EMF, which is matter. As I've humorously called it, hard light. People kind of remember that. It's like, well, that's both funny and, quasi-accurate. Hard light. Super, super high energy light, way above that of gamma. I don't know how many magnitudes above that of gamma. Is matter. Reflecting telescopes, lasers, magnets, galactic jets, parabolic arrays, radio telescopes. These all have two things in common. They're all empirical energy focused at or in, not that in, because in implies that it has a place or a topos, in counter space. These are all point source objects. Black holes, lasers, because laser light is point source light. Don't take my word for that. Just type in laser point source. You'll probably get 10,000 references to this on Bing or Google. Not my idea. It is. It's a laser. People that actually know a tremendous amount about lasers, which is not many. You can create them, but as far as the theory behind lasers, not that many. Because you could ask anybody over in any of the Chinese manufacturing facilities where they make magnets, which is basically where all magnets are made today. What is magnetism? What makes a magnet? You won't get an answer out of it. We know how to make them. What do you know what magnet? No, don't know. This kind of confuses people. People think that if you're able to reproduce it or you use it, well, sure, we know what magnetism is or how a magnet works. Like, no, we don't. It's like, here, Mr. PhD physicist, here's $1 million. All you have to do is tell me what a magnet denotatively is and what the magnetic field is. I don't even have to ask you what a field is, because none of these people can tell you what a field is. They haven't got a clue. They'll say lines of force, which of course is completely absurd, and I've explained that thousands of times in countless videos, how ridiculous that is, but that's not the topic of this discussion. The point being is that the only way free energy is going to occur, and necessitatively, retroductively says it must absolutely occur, is by the focusing of empirical energy or radiation. Radiation is energy, of course, of one type or another, in counter space, and this is point source energy. This is a hardcore, undeniable fact about free energy. I'm not making ridiculous, absurd claims with silly devices that don't actually, this device is over unity, it produces free. Yeah, sure it does, right. There's so many YouTube videos like that. I know a few things about free energy. Many years of my life, which I've dedicated a lot of time to the thought on field theory, I thought that free energy was not possible. Not only do I know now that it is possible, it's absolutely undeniable. But it must necessitatively incur the wrath of being, by construction, a point source energy device. It must necessitatively be so. Everything that runs our modern technological world and otherwise, magnets, lasers, these are all point source energy devices. They all are. The thing that I told you would happen, as far as we would find out ultra, ultra, ultra high energy light is matter. That's confirmed. Here's something else I confirmed that I said that turned out to be true. I said for years now, when they actually take a real image, a genuine good image instead of a blurry little blob of a black hole, it'll look exactly like the image underneath the ferrocell. Well, like about 2 or 3 years ago, they came out, and the first image was the black. There we go. It was a nice high-resolution image of a black hole, relatively high, right? And then they found out a way to make the image much, much better. And you can find this image all over the internet, and it is. And I had a lot of people email me, well over 200 people email me, like, oh my God, you're exactly right. I remember when you said when they took a genuine high-resolution image will look like a supercell. And that's exactly what it looks like. Here's my third prediction, which will prove to be 100% true, that over unity, i.e. free energy device, must necessitatively incur the need of point source energy concentration, meaning taking empirical energy and focusing it in or at, both the words in and at relative to counter space are inappropriate and denotatively incorrect, but I'm going to use them for the sake of communication. Must necessitatively be focused in or at counter space, because that's exactly what a laser does. That's exactly what, by quality, a magnet actually is. That's the same way a galactic jet vis-a-vis a black hole is, because galactic jet's emitting out trillions of tons of hydrogen, because a black hole is a point source energy object. It's super, super, super massive energy object. It's a supermass with no magnitude, and I've explained that endlessly. Please don't ask me to explain it in this video, but reflective telescopes. Reflector telescopes for either visible light or invisible light. That would be, of course, radio, radio telescope and radio telescope arrays. They're all focusing, and by the way, the Stirling engine, I'm going to do a little thing on the Stirling engine. One of them is the best one that you can actually pack around with you, is a point-focused parabolic mirror with the Stirling engine at its center. Well, what do you think that mirrored parabolic is doing? It is generating point source energy. Of course, you look up what a Stirling engine is and a Stirling engine does. No different than the parabolic array that's on the back roof of your house or in your backyard for concentrating and thereby amplifying, the 5 watt, you think it's like 5 watts average from outer space for satellite TV broadcast. It's concentrating it. Concentration. Just think about point source energy, because all of these things that make our world fascinating and are amazing, if people actually ever gave a thought to it, really, yeah, it's a magnet. I've seen magnets before. It's like, yeah, but don't you want to understand about point source? Some people just don't want to know. They just don't care to know. These people, of course, are ignorant. They don't actually have the great desire within them to uncover the mysteries of nature. Anyway, I drone on a little bit about that. But these are free energy facts. That free energy must necessitatively come from empirical energy focused, i.e. manifest energy, focused in or at counter space. This is undeniable and irrefutable. And it will be proven accurate. In my lifetime, who knows? Maybe it's after I'm gone, who knows? Thank you so much for watching.